when we face with the life and death imminent in front of you, when the bullet and all the treasure round coming towards you, and all our sensation, all our the seeing, all our hearing is go against your own will. The reason you are there is not you. The reason you are there is family, the country, whole legacy of Gurkhas, whole legacy of SAS.
So tell me, Krishna, where did you grow up and what was your childhood like?
I born in the lap of Himalayas, about 2,000 meters in the Annapurna range, a place called Gurkha Rifles, which is the only village named after the Gurkhas. And about 90% of the boys from my village all joining the Gurkhas.
What are the Gurkhas?
The word Gurkha is go is a sense, and Kha is those who control our sense. The word Gurkha came from is that those who control information come to you, not for us, for the true of the humanity and things we need to do as a duty of care. Then the reflection of being a Gurkha is to come with the loyalty, trust, and commitment and devotion. That's what actually the Gurkha word means.
Where did the British Army and the Gurkhas come together?
So it goes back to the 1914-15 when the British force took over the India, and then they came towards the Himalayas in 1915-16, and then there is obviously battle between the Gurkhas and British forces. And then suddenly British realized these boys are very small from the mountain and they found very tough. Why don't we make a friend with them? Then we recruit them as a Gurkha warrior. And then what the British decided by then, British military decided, like, why don't we take with us all the way to UK? That's how initially 200 and maybe 20 years now we've been working under the MOD. Gurkha was being a young boy in Nepal, especially my place, was everything. It's been honored, and then valued and gratitude because, my all history, my bloodline is Gurkha. My grandfather, as I aware, he was the Gurkha, however, we lost him Second World War. And my uncle was in a Gurkha, and my father tried to be a Gurkha for 7 years, and he failed and come back to the village in Nepal.
So at what age did you decide that you wanted to join the Gurkhas?
To be honest, I have no intention to join the Gurkhas when I was young. That's what kids do. But eventually, when I became a little bit, like 10, 12 years old, then my father and my parents always, giving me, oh, you need to be a Gurkha. And we dream you to be a Gurkha. So eventually, I truly believe when I was age 17 and a half, that's where we can apply to be a Gurkha. And my father applied for me without me knowing. But I think the story was when I applied for the first time, then I failed. I failed on my first selection for the Gurkha in British camp. And that's probably what my biggest lesson, failing your parents' dream, and then failing in front of the colleagues and friends which you are living day-to-day life. And that day when I fail, I realized, I'm gonna pass this Gurkha selection. I think that's probably what truly gave me the energy and power when I failed.
So you found motivation from that failure?
Absolutely.
You failed the first time and you reapplied.
Mm-hmm.
What is the selection process for the Gurkhas?
Gurkha selection process is probably one of the unique selection process and probably the hardest in the world. We have when I applied about 30 years ago, we had the 3 phases of selection. What we call is a local selection. So you turn up in there, and then they will go to the basic, how is your sensation work? Is your sight, your taste, and your hearing on all the basic visual, body function strong enough? And once you have that basic criteria, And what we call the second phase. It will be maybe 100,000 of them from whole region, and it's just a bigger version, but they will do properly. You have to do the 12-time chin push-up, and then the 45-degree angle slope, but you have to do with the straight leg, 1 minute, 25 times sit-up and upside down. And then we have to do the one leggy. We have to sit down with arm stand and leg forward, 1 time on each leg. Basically, are you fit enough to be a soldier for the Gurkhas? And once you pass this second phase, then they will give you the final, chest number. But this is where the live, British serving camp. And we have got dedicated, Gurkha soldier training camp in Pokhara. And this is where all the recruit team will fly from the UK training shell, and then they go there and they will run the full process for a couple of months. And that's where the real doctors and then the medical, and the hardest thing is we call the doko race, which is carrying the basket on our forehead. And it's about 3 miles uphill. Start from the base of the river and then the river bank, and then we go straight up. And it's about 20 to 30 potential Gurkhas starting, and only the top 3 will go through. There is no time. There is no, there is no limitation. Only if you can you make it once, first, second, third, then you in. Anything after that, you out.
How many people apply in total, and how many Gurkhas are chosen in the end?
So in my time, it's about 30,000 applicants, and I think it took about 6 months from those 3 phases, and the 180 pass. So those are the fundamental, from hill to the center to the final, 3-phase Gurkha selection.
When they say you pass, how did you feel in that moment?
Oh my God, yeah. I think that's probably one of the, moment, truly, make my parents' dream come true over 1,000 years, and also save the bloodline. Regardless of who we are from our ancestor. We are from our parents. Without their dedicating their life, we wouldn't be here talking like this one. I think that's what the importance of, keep them, within our arm length. And their dream is bigger than us.
Even if it's not your dream?
Absolutely. I think, that's the one thing, in Nepal, in Himalayas, still, today, right now, about 90% of our people will still believe in something beyond ourselves. They still go to the temple, and just the realization and gratitude and compassion, who we are, and that's actually come from the ancestral devotion and love and compassion. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here.
So you've passed selection. Where do you go to do your training?
Yeah, it's the first time seeing the plane from Kathmandu and flew to the Heathrow airport. I have no idea, no vision, no clue what is to be expected. It's just total unknown and uncertainty. Gurkhas have maybe a couple of months longer than the wider, British recruits. First thing I realized is, if anything I have to improve, it's my communication skill. And, and then I accepted that, and constantly, try to look at the news and try to, understand the culture, try to respect, the language. However, I think the huge cultural shock is the food, and I didn't realize first day when we turn up, people will survive on the sausage and beans and bacon. So I was like, how can I live and survive with this food? I joined the first Royal Gurkha Rifles, and then that was in the UK by that time. We have got the 2 infantry, 1 RGR and 2 RGR, but all the time 1 unit is in the UK and other unit is Brunei. So after the 2 years with the 1 RGR, then our unit shift to the Brunei for jungle warfare. and also the part of, the protecting the, government of Brunei and Sultan as part of the British MOD. And then one day, my OC, the British officer, called me in his office. And as ever, whenever we only called up to our senior or officer mess office is like something we did wrong, And I went there and proper Gurkha style and solved with him. And his first thing is like, "Oh, Chris, relax and sit down." I said like, "Oh, bit weird. Normally you will be told off." And then first thing he asked was, "Do you know about the SAS?" So like, everyone knows about SAS, absolutely. And then it's like, "Oh, how much do you know about the selection?" I said like, "None, nil." And so like, "Okay, we've been told from the, commanding officer, we're gonna send the first trial from the, 1RGR and 2RGR on the Gurkhas for the selection. So you are one of them." Then I said like, "Okay, again, I didn't hesitate with my just, have a trust with my commander and then my, as part of service." I said like, "Okay, send me." A week later, we end up in the UK from Brunei, and they drop us on the Brecken Beacons, and we started our, kind of journey from there. My selection in 0304 was the biggest number in the history. And this about 375, all the para-race, marine engineers. And when I look at them, to me, they're like horse,
Horses.
Really, really ready to battle, like all the muscles. Oh my God. I look at them like, wow, what the hell I'm doing here? And it's like down below, it's like carrying the small backpack, freezing cold in January in Brecken Beacon. I used to look at them, oh my God, I didn't even know why I'm here, Yet again, I had this, something within me to show up, I guess, not giving up. And then we used to, start that training. A lot of people think like when you're watching television, like shouting, and no, just show up, silence. They will call your name. You just measure your burden, backpack, whatever, 20, 25 kg, and they give you the vehicle number. That's it. You jump in there, crawl down, with coal, with the jacket, and then they will drop you off. The only thing is nice and silently, you give them the grit and bearing. Either you make it or don't make it.
How did you find the jungle training?
Oof, yeah. Jungle training was probably one of my biggest surprise myself. Being a Gurkhas, we call the jungle soldiers, jungle warrior for the Gurkhas. We born from the jungle. When I went to the jungle, in my mind, it's like, I got this, I'm a Gurkha, but actually, when I turn up, it's hardest thing. You land 3 a.m. in the morning. Brunei is like 40 degrees. And then 6 a.m., you will given a PT dressed and ready to run. And they will like, just keep going on till you drop dead or fall out. And you start running, you look left and right, everyone is strong, and you are the one weakest. And you're like, oh my God, and where is this gonna end? That's endless battle. That's probably the one moment I found out the resilience the human body have. As long as we got the willpower, we can run. If not, we can walk. If not, we can crawl. If not, we can roll. If not, we can breathe. That is so important, I learned, because you think you're going down, but you're not giving up, but then everyone start crawling, but still crawling, and it's still rolling. And that's what matters, Just keep going, do your best, and sooner or later, the light is always there.
How did you feel when you passed SAS selection?
First thing, I rang my parents in Nepal. I passed this SAS selection. They said, like, go back to Gurkhas. Then I said, like, I realize everyone have a limitation within our, environment we grown up. But when you find your own true belief and one true vision, then that's you. You are the only count. Are you able to walk within yourself? And that's the moment I realize, the ability to have a trust myself. It's not my parents' dream. It's not something to driven from outside. It's chosen by my commander, the British officer, who gave me opportunity yet again, validate within me my ability to be able to stand and show up every morning, every day.
On a personal level, after you found these big horses, these massive men, how were you treated by your fellow selectees?
Over my almost 30 years career in British service, and I happened to have served more than 12 international special force in my career. I truly, and I said my hands, my heart, and it's true honor to serve with this British elite force. I think it's hard to express what they have done, and it is one of the most treasure moment in my life ever will be.
The Gurkhas are enormously respected by the British military and by Britain.
Yeah.
And so are the SAS. What values do you think they share? And do you think being a Gurkha helped you throughout your time in the SAS?
In a way, Gurkha has probably the hardest selection for being a Nepalese boy from Himalayas. In that 17 years, 18 years old young boys being able to do physically, 12 pull-up, able to challenge and carry the basket doko and then put yourself in forward every step. And that's a huge challenge. But however, I think being a SAS is more than physical. Either you got it, either you don't got it. And that is the ability to operate within yourself. And there is no test apart from your own self.
Where did you go with the SAS? What was your first tour?
Yeah, so my first tour was in Afghanistan. That was 04, and my job was to establish the first ever Afghan SF. That was almost nine-month commitment in my career and first commitment. And also, that's where a lot of us will think about, passing the 6-month selection is harder. Actually, no. And the surviving the first mission, having a trust from the colleague, you can save their life and they can give their life, have that trust. We always have that ownership of the comrades and then the friends, and the power is actually harder than the selection.
Do you remember how you felt on that first operation, facing an enemy for the first time?
Yes, absolutely. I think when we face with the life and death imminent in front of you, and so far so, when the bullet and all the treasure round coming towards you, and all our sensation, the seeing, all our hearing is go against your own will, and you saying like, oh Chris, you're gonna dead, you are already dead. But have that trust with the team, have that feeling the reason you are there is not you. The reason you are there is family, the country, whole legacy of Gurkhas, whole legacy of SAS. We are more than what we believe, we are more than what we see. And when you can't see, and then there is still someone is covering your back and they give up their own life, which truly, your life and our life here today.
Did your friends give up their life for you?
Not once, few times. That's probably one of my, true reason who I am and why I am here. British SAS has tapped in my shoulder and said, Chris, step back. You got a family and I'm single, I'll go forward. And, where in the world, you boy from Nepal, different color, different background, coming here in the front line, life and death, still yet again have a comrades and colleague, have that trust and giving their life for for myself or beyond, for the country, for the families. The important is that all the soldiers, and especially special forces soldiers who gave their life, they move forward. The reason is not them. The reason is what we leave behind.
Do you feel that your spirituality allowed you to experience these moments of fear and death differently to the rest of your colleagues?
Yes, I think that's the reason I'm here today. If I haven't had that spirituality and connection with my ancestor, connection with my traditional culture value, which all the Gurkhas have in Himalayas, I shouldn't be here today, if I'm honest with you. And that truly has impact on us every day. Wake up, and I find that purpose in life over the years, with the service and realization and a lot of death and I have gone through, and now that's why my life is service, to whatever I learn on the battlefield, to the mountain, to the spirituality and all this ancient wisdom, and that's what matters most for me now.
So in total, how many tours did you do in Afghanistan?
Don't know if I'm honest, but I think it's about day to day, about maybe 3 years on my whole. Every day, 3 years' time is in the war, in the warhead, and they said it's one of the longest serving in the whole history of SF, UKSF as well. I think about 12 or 14 tour I have done.
How did it feel coming back after those tours?
Yeah, I think that's actually very, very deep moment. Every time when I come back home, I rang my wife, and I have a daughter. In our culture, in ancient way, whenever we come from a death, dealing with a death, whenever we call dealing with the illness and any life-changing environment, when we come back to home, we're supposed to not to touch or hug the young kids, and we have to touch the 5 elements like water or the fire, or the air, or what we call the bath before we come into the house. So here I am, maybe 2010-11, come back from 6-month tour, a lot of mission, a lot of colleague missing, and we come with this residue, energy. And I came home, open the door, my daughter come running wide open, 4 years, kid's daughter, like, oh my shit. I can't hug her. And I refused to hug her. And I refused to hug her, and I hugged my wife, because then I hug her. This thing was in my heart until last year, which is like 14, 15 years. Because sometimes this thing only come when you allow to accept by yourself. And last year, when she turned 16, I sat down on the sofa in the house, and I forgive myself in front of her. From that moment onwards, she started hugging me properly. I think with that one forgiveness in front of my daughter, I think so much thing had changed in my life. I just wanted to pass the message, those who are listening, or also my own family, is that they are matter. Either we express or not express. We are going through a lot of own trauma, own sadness and suffering, but that matter, they matter, especially for us. That's the coming back story, from the war, and life-changing, and the sometimes hard, sometimes very hard. And a lot of us, especially our veterans, and hold back, and then it's hard to let it go. But I think, when it comes to life, and we got this limited time to accept, understand, and move forward. And that's what's very important.
After the SAS, can you tell me a little bit about how you got into mountaineering, and what did you accomplish?
Yeah, because obviously with my active, almost 20 years service in the regiment, I became chief and highest ranking rank, in my service. In that time, because I was a mountain specialist, mountain chief, and there was a Gurkha Everest expedition. And I've been asked if I wanted to lead the Gurkha Everest expedition, and I said, well, of course, it's my dream, to work with the Gurkhas, being a Gurkhas, to share some experience and knowledge. And we had the biggest Gurkha and UKSF Everest expedition in 2015, where the big earthquake happened. And then 2017, we went back with the same group, UKSF, and then the Gurkhas, one of the still the largest, biggest Everest summiter group in one group. 13 of us summited. Since that point, I've been climbing with a lot of disabilities, and then the people with no legs, and a lot of records, like 3 double amputee I took in Mont Blanc 2019, 2 double amputee Kilimanjaro, and first deaf, to take other mountain, and also first double amputee above knees to Everest 2023, and first Parkinson disease, to 6,000 meter. Yet I'm also working with, it will be the first woman in the world, deaf and blind, from UK to summit Everest next year. I think, and this is where it gives me the true, thrive in life, when able to share our knowledge and experience and those who need the most. And that's mountain actually teach us every time when I go to the mountain, bigger the mountain, and realization of the challenge everyone's going through, war or the mountain climbing in a life.
What's the thing you're proudest of?
I think the proudest moment for me is being able to realize life being worth it every morning, and obviously keeping my parents' dream, being a Gurkhas, and passing the selection, SS selection, able to tap into my own trust and have ability to say, yes, I can do it. And now every moment I can say, if when I able to share some story and change with disability people or people in struggling life, have that ability to share, is that the moment I think is worth being alive.
Quite a big burly guy with a big beard. He spun round basically and then cocked his AK-47 in our faces. Now that was a bit of a shock to us because, as any military guy will tell you, if you're on the front line, you should have a bullet already in your weapon, if that makes sense, a round already. So we started laughing, purely because of the unprofessionalism